joining us for the first time. Richmond Rising is a collaboration of the City of Richmond and 6 local organizations, together known as Richmond Rising. Together, we applied and received $35 million to bring health, economic, and environmental benefits to today. We're collaborating meeting by a project.
Ahí está. Okay, we'll try. Okay.
Oh, I can hear you now.
That is not edited.
It's coming out of the meeting out. I can't say anything about that. There you go.
All of these sort of technology. So for the next item on the agenda, the agreement approval of previous meeting minutes, you submitted this minutes with the agenda, 12 days ago. Was there any comment in relation to minutes? And I know that can be, get a for the order for approval. You are approving the minutes from the state me. If the minutes are approved by this.
Is there a reason that we can't see the slides? Thank you. Okay. I think we're good with sound now, right? Okay, fantastic. So to the committee members, is it possible that we change the agenda for us to do project status later, since we have 3 guests that are joining us today and we have a fair amount of public and we would like to give them space for the presentations that they have? Okay, I get approval from everyone? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. So as our first presenter for today, we have our coworkers from the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And I'm gonna give them the opportunity to present on a really relevant topic that they are sharing with us today about funds that are available for the city of Richmond and also the city of Benicia. But since we are here today in Richmond, they're gonna present in relationship to the webinar that was actually shared with everyone in this meeting. But we also want you to hear directly from them. If you didn't attend the webinar, this is your opportunity to ask them questions and to be able to have any public comments that you want to share with them, or any other comments that you want to provide them with.
Thanks.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, good to see you. No problem. So I will kick it off. I'm here with Emmy Wang from our Air District Office of Community Investment. I'm John Joya. Good to see you. I live in Richmond, and I'm honored to represent Richmond and West County on the Contra Costa Board of Supervisors, but I'm also on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District Board. I will say one thing regarding the county, because I've said it everywhere. I want to just take 1 minute. So many of you know CalFresh benefits have been cut by the federal government. So I want you to know that yesterday the County Board of Supervisors allocated $21 million to pay for benefits for the month of November through a grocery debit card that we will be giving residents at 1305 McDonald. So starting Monday, 7 to 7, Monday through Saturday, you'll be able to get, if you're on CalFresh, a debit card pretty much equal to whatever your CalFresh benefit was. And we need your help in publicizing that. I think only San Francisco and Contra Costa are the 2 counties that have done this, because we want to keep money in people's pockets so they continue to be able to buy their groceries. So I just want you to know about that. So today what we hear about is a plan of how to spend money that the Air District has levied against Chevron Refinery for various air quality violations. A number of years ago, about 2 years ago, the Air District changed its policy so that the fines we collect from industry go back mostly to the community where we collected the fines, which wasn't the case before. So recently, the Air District has collected $36 million from Chevron for fines, penalties, and settlements. So the Air District has developed some guidelines about how to spend those monies in those communities that were impacted by the facility that's being fined. And what Emmy's going to talk about are the new guidelines that came out that will be then approved by the Air District Board that I serve on in December or January. And then we will have a grant application process for this $36 million. You'll hear that other communities where there's a refinery like Martinez and Benicia also have a fund of money. But I know you're most interested, obviously, in the fines and penalties here in Richmond that we've collected from Chevron. So that's really what we want to talk about. We want to hear your comments regarding the guidelines. And then we have a committee meeting, I think the Equity Committee that I serve on next week to talk about this, make some recommendations to the full Air District Board. So I'm here to hear whatever thoughts you have as well. But this is a major change in our policy to have money go back to the community where we collected the fines. So that's today, and I'm going to turn it over to Emmy, who is the director of our Office of Community Investments.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Supervisor Joya, and good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Just a little bit of, yeah, I'm very happy to be here at the TCC stakeholder meeting. In my previous job, in my previous life, I actually worked on the Transformative Climate Communities program. My old organization advocated for the legislation that created TCC. And then I worked with folks in Stockton, much like you all, to like apply for TCC, first the planning grant and then the implementation grant. So it's like very cool to see it come to life and to know all the hard work that went in. I mean, it's so much work to apply for TCC, so I know all the work that you all have gone into. And I'm here to talk about a different grant opportunity that is being administered by the Air District, the Bay Area Air District. So we have a set of draft guidelines that are open now, that are open for 30 days of public comment. Right before Thanksgiving, they'll close. And then we hope to kind of upgrade the grant based on feedback and then open the grant probably late January, early February. And so want to give you a preview of what that looks like so that folks here related to TCC can start thinking about applying and how to shape some of that money. So yeah, next slide, please. Oh, sure. This is well, it's not showing up there though. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So this is the agenda. Yeah, we'll go through the fund and the eligibility, the grant structure. Next slide, please. Just a little bit as it takes time to get going. So I'm here as a representative of the Bay Area Air District. The Bay Area Air District was formed in 1955. And our kind of authority is to regulate stationary sources of air pollution throughout the 9-county Bay Area. So that's a lot of what we do. A lot of what we do is enforcement and research and compliance. And I'm here representing another side of the house, which is focused on kind of the grants and the incentives. Next slide, please. Next slide is okay too. Okay, so to tell a little bit about the policy that brought us here, as Supervisor Joya mentioned, the Air District collects penalties from facilities and entities that violate our regulations. And in May of 2024, last year, we adopted what's called the Community Benefits Penalty Funds Policy to specifically say that those penalty monies should be directed back to the communities in which those violations occurred. This is something that we've heard from community members for a long time, and so we now have a policy to make it happen. And so right now, so far in the total fund, there's about $124 million available. And as you'll hear later in the presentation, Richmond has about $35 million of that fund. Next slide, please. And so a little bit about the kind of how funds are allocated. Essentially, there are two funds. This is all background. There are two funds. There's a local fund and a regional fund. And there's kind of a funding formula for how those funds get allocated. Basically, what it says is after meeting a predetermined threshold, 80% of the funds go to the local fund, and then 20% go to the regional fund. And so that's why the lion's share is in kind of this local fund, and both funds share the same overall goals. So to reduce air pollution, mitigate air pollution impacts, and then improve health outcomes and resilience. Okay, next slide. Okay, thank you. So we are talking specifically today about the local community benefits fund and specifically what's available for Richmond. And so the goals, yeah, they're similar, right? And one is programmatic, reduce air pollution, improve public health outcomes, and build economic resilience for a just transition. Two would be kind of like what kind of projects we want to see advanced, and this will be familiar to you all. I think we have a focus on advancing integrated projects to holistically meet many community needs, right? Communities have lots of different needs. They don't fit into easy boxes. What does it look like to develop kind of like a project portfolio that encompasses all of that? And then the third is a little bit of the how, which is to strengthen community-led and collaborative solutions. Great, and probably the next one too. Okay, so just to talk specifically about Richmond and what is available for Richmond, this is very small. You don't have to read it. I will summarize it. It essentially says that there are two funding streams that add up to that $35 million. For the purposes of what you need to know, there's like penalty fees, and then there's a specific, what we're calling the Richmond Community Air Quality Fund, which is a mitigation fund. And that fund has just a specific purpose, which is to reduce PM 2.5 emissions in the vicinity of the Richmond refinery. So for the purpose of applicants, you don't need to designate a fund. There's just one application. Staff on the back end will kind of determine like which funding stream you kind of most qualify for. And the thing maybe to keep in mind is because the purpose of the Richmond Air Quality Fund is a little more specific around the PM 2.5, any projects that are kind of focused on that will be eligible for both of the funds. And so you'll have like a slightly greater chance of funding, but projects in both categories are totally eligible. Yep. Okay, and then next up, we're going to look at a map. This is the map of the broader Richmond area. This is the eligibility map for the project, where in the footprint, where in the kind of geographic eligibility is it for the Richmond area. So we are using the Path to Clean Air boundary. Path to Clean Air was designated by the AB 617 process a couple years ago. There was a big public process to determine kind of the communities in the Bay Area that were most disproportionately impacted by sources of air pollution. So that's the overall boundary we're using. It is much, it's larger than the TCC boundary for sure, but definitely encompasses the TCC boundary. So when we say Richmond, I think we mean Richmond, but we also mean unincorporated communities, we mean San Pablo, communities encompassed within that boundary. Yeah. And yeah, and then next slide is going to show up kind of what the grant awards look like, also very small. I will summarize. So there are 3 grant types that are mostly divided by grant size. So the largest awards are called Catalyst Awards. Those are going to be between $10 to $15 million. They will require a co-applicant model, and it has the longest grant term of up to 5 years. The second tier is called Opportunity. Those grants are between $500,000 and $5 million. There, 1 co-applicant is required and a grant term of 3 years. And then the smallest is called the Seed Grant. These are grants of $100,000 to $200,000. They're only open to 501c3 nonprofits, and there's no co-applicant required. So it could be a single organization applying. We offer these different kinds of grant types. I think we're trying to allow spaciousness for projects of different kinds and different types. And so, yeah, different kinds of entities and different capacities could be able to apply. Yeah, next slide, please. Yep. Sorry. Okay, now we'll go a little bit more into the details of the grant itself and what it's going to look like. So we are requiring, this is going to be very familiar to you all as TCC folks. We're requiring a partnership structure. So as I mentioned, the biggest grant requires multiple co-applicants. The middle grant Opportunity requires 1, and the smallest Seed does not have a co-applicant requirement. Next slide, please. And maybe I'll just extemporize a little bit. In many ways, I think we did take our inspiration from TCC in terms of the partnership requirement. But it's not as, I would say, if you're comparing the two, it's not as intense a partnership requirement in terms of just some of the readiness materials that are required to be shown. Here you can see the eligible entities who can apply. So the left side is who can apply as a lead applicant. It's many different kinds of entities: nonprofits, schools and school districts, local governments, California Native American tribes. Entity can apply, a lead applicant can apply once for each of the grant types. And then the co-applicants are all those folks I just talked about, plus for-profit entities like contractors, consultants, folks who are supporting in the project. They can be co-applicants. Okay, next slide. And then I want to talk a little bit, this will also be familiar to you all. I mean, the projects are intended to be driven by and be rooted by community needs and priorities. So applications will be asked to show what those community needs are, how they were determined, how they led to the selection of the projects for the application. And then there's also a requirement for ongoing kind of meaningful two-way community engagement. So how is information shared one way, and also how is feedback and co-creation involved the other way around? So that's the community engagement requirement. And then we can get to a little bit of the core strategies, like what is this going to fund? What is this going to look like? So there are 2 strategies that we're really focusing on for this opportunity. This first one is all about air quality and public health. So it's reducing or mitigating air pollution, addressing health impacts exacerbated by air pollution, and then identifying future opportunities for air pollution reduction. I think this will be familiar to you all. It's projects that reduce emissions. It's projects that reduce community exposure to emissions. It could be air monitoring projects to identify emissions. It's all about the nexus between air quality and public health. And then the next slide is our second strategy. Our second strategy is called Build Economic Resilience for a Just Transition. I think we are trying to grapple with what does it mean to be a town, a town in transition, a community in transition. So we're looking for projects that support the transition away from fossil fuels, build economic resilience, but still deliver those benefits, those co-benefits in air quality and public health. So here, these projects are, this is like a example list. Projects could support workers to transition from the fossil fuel industry through wage or labor transition support, planning for healthy economic recovery, community planning, advancing economic diversification that supports that transition away from fossil fuels and into clean energy. So those are the kinds of projects we're looking for, is they need to fall into either one of the two buckets. Great, next slide, please. And then lastly, in terms of core programmatic guidance, all the projects will be asked to include a measurable outcomes plan. So this is a plan that tracks what are the outcomes that you want to, what's the outcome that you're looking to achieve with your project? And then track back for us, link that to activities, tasks, indicators, the budget. If I can give a little shout out, the scoping of this strategy actually came from a conversation with Beatrice, thinking about what is the impact we want to achieve, which can happen in a lot of different ways, and then what are the ways that you get there. So we're tracking of quantitative outcomes is recommended where possible, but I think it's offering a little bit more flexibility to identify a range of measurable outcomes and give us the logic model of how you're getting there. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, lastly, that's the kind of the core programmatic pieces. I want to talk about process. So applications will be scored and reviewed by kind of essentially technical reviewers who might be air district staff, and then also community reviewers. So we're going to identify and develop a process to recruit and select community reviewers, community stakeholders who might be, folks here in this room who essentially don't have conflict of interest, right? You're not part of a grant application, but you're interested in reviewing the grant applications that are coming in for the Richmond area. And you'll get, both the kind of technical review and community review. And then those review kind of recommendations will move through the board of directors process for the air district, right? They have to be approved by our governing board. So they'll go to both the subcommittee. We have a subcommittee called the Community Equity, Health, and Justice Subcommittee, and then the full board of directors. And then lastly, just in terms of timeline, so the guidelines, the draft guidelines were released last week. Public comment is now open for 30 days. It will close right before Thanksgiving. So we would love for you, if you're interested, to take a look at the guidelines and then offer your feedback. What works, what doesn't. And then we hope to open the grant kind of late January, early February is our target. Grants will close in May, and then, we'll hope to start working with folks really in terms of 2027. And maybe I think there's one more slide. Two, okay. And then I just wanted to leave, I think you all get a link to this PowerPoint. But anyway, this is our website. If you go to our website, we have a mailing list. If you scroll all the way down, we have a mailing list. That's the best way to stay updated. Anytime there's like a big announcement, like the application is out, that's where you'll find it. So recommend folks look there. And we have all the draft guidance. So there are essentially 3 documents. There's a guidance doc, like a guidelines doc. And then the opportunities open for this kind of Richmond area community and also for the Benicia area community. So you'll see one document for Richmond and one document for Benicia that offers the grant specifics therein. And that's it. I know it's a lot, but I'm happy to happy to be here and happy to kind of take questions, clarifying questions, comments. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Emmy or for Supervisor Joya? ¿Tenemos alguna pregunta para Emmy? Pueden hacer la pregunta en español y se puede hacer la traducción a inglés. Any questions from partners too or community members from the committee?
Hello. Has it been determined whether or not this funding could be used to leverage another project that is already existing?
Yeah, for sure. We don't have a strict leverage requirement like TCC does, but it'll certainly be considered as part of the readiness. I think it will show greater readiness if there are other sources of funding available. So yes, definitely, of course.
One of the things I will make sure that when the grant application is out, that, the Air District will do its due diligence to get the word out, but I will as well. So we will make sure that the Richmond, San Pablo, North Richmond community knows that this application period is open. We'll also let nonprofits, we have a pretty good list of nonprofits in this area. We'll let them all know, and we'll really do a lot of publicity. So, but it's a good time to start thinking now. So when the application goes out, how long is the period going to be for people to apply? 3 weeks. 3 months. Yeah, I would say 3 weeks is not enough time. I was going to say we need to have it more than that. So 3 months. Yes, good. Because we get to vote on that. So 3 months is good. Yes, that's good. We want to leave enough time in education and outreach to have the community working with nonprofits and the city or whoever put some good projects together.
I mean, I will acknowledge 3 months is still not, 3 months is still tight. I think we acknowledge and see that. I do think folks, I mean, right, you all have been working. You all have been thinking and dreaming and partnering. In many ways, I think there are probably great project ideas that are relatively project ready out there. And so we want to be able to, to be able to fund those things. I think given just the timing and the scale of the funding, it's a lot of money. So we are looking for projects that are ready to bring in implementation. That's just a reality of where kind of the funding is at this moment. So we know it's tight, and so we want to, come here early and get the juices flowing for you all to start thinking.
Thank you, Emmy. For the climate health promoters who are joining us today, I know you are going to be working in some of the projects in your community. So if there's anything that triggers your attention to things that you want to happen in your community, please let us know and join the conversation with the partners here. Para las personas que nos acompañan, los promotores climáticos que nos están acompañando hoy, si tienen algún proyecto en su comunidad, porque sé que va a ser parte de lo que ustedes van a estar haciendo en su capacitación y quieren verlo en su comunidad, por favor díganos, siéntense con nosotros para que tengamos una conversación sobre qué les gustaría ver en la comunidad. ¿Hay alguna otra pregunta? Is there any additional question that you want to ask, whether it's community members or partners? No, no más preguntas. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. So the next item that we have on the agenda from the guests that are joining us today is the Barrett Avenue Bicycle and Pedestrian Improvements Project that also happens to be in the TCC project area. So this is another project besides the ones that we have funded from the climate communities, and we are giving them space today so that they can present what is happening in this project, and that community members who are part of the project area can also provide input. Joe, no, it's not, my presentation is not showing up. I don't know why. There you go. Thank you. I'm gonna miss.
Hello, Richmond Rising. Thank you so much for including us on your agenda today. My name is Iman Sylvain. I'm with Rails to Trails Conservancy. We're an advocacy organization that helps communities to get walking and biking infrastructure and trails as essential parts of their communities. We have an office in Oakland, but we've actually worked on the Richmond Greenway about a decade ago, helping to organize communities and get feedback and actually get the trail on the ground. So really glad to be here today, working to support community engagement for the Barrett Avenue Safety Improvements Project. So we're thinking about creating bike lanes and pedestrian improvements, and we'd really like to get your feedback around, are these the designs you want to see? What other elements are we missing? So I have with me today Halal from the city of Richmond and Vignesh from Kimley Horn, a consulting firm who's working on the design. So please give us all your feedback.
And of course, the fire chief here to support us. Anyway, Hilal Hamdan, Senior Civil Engineer, Public Works Engineering, City of Richmond. Very happy to be here. As Iman mentioned, we have a project. We're going to take it to construction hopefully the summer 26. It's going to be, we're going to have some bike lanes. We're going to have some lighting also. So I'm not gonna say much. I'm gonna let the consultant Kimley Horn here beside me, Vignesh, is gonna detail more. But like Iman mentioned, again, feedback. We want to hear from you. That's why I'm here. That's why everybody's here. So much appreciated, Vignesh.
Hello all, my name is Vignesh Swaminathan. I'm the project manager on this project. I'm come from Kimberly Horn. We're really excited to present this project to you today. It's right in this neighborhood. This is Barrett Avenue from Harbor Way all the way to 25th Street. We can go to the next slide. Today we're going to go over the project limits, what we're doing. We've done some previous outreach earlier, and I'm also going to provide you guys with a link that you can either comment online, or I have a plan roll right in the back there where I have posted notes. So if you have comments, questions, things that you want on that corridor, this is the opportunity to provide your input on the corridor. You ask for whatever you want. We'll see if we can make it work. At the end of the day, when we have taxpayer projects that are done for in your community, we want to make sure that it's done with you guys all in mind and it's done by you all. And so this is the opportunity to go and provide your comments on that project. Next slide. The project is Barrett Avenue from Harbor Way to 25th Street. We're also going to be adding lighting at the undercrossing of Barrett Avenue and also McDonald Avenue. It's on the map here. That lighting is going to be pedestrian level lighting, so you'll be safer to walk along that corridor. This stems from a history of a lot of different master plans. The city's done bike master plans, general plans. In the general plan, they identified Barrett as a very unsafe corridor, and they want to reduce. They want to put a lot of safety improvements and eventually reduce the speed limit down to 20 miles an hour on Barrett Avenue. That was from the general plan back in, I think it was 2011 is when it was done for 2030. Now, we're not going to take it to 20 miles an hour right now, and we don't know if that's the right decision. But what we want to do first is put in bike lanes, make it safer, make it so people will slow down and pay attention more, see that, study that, and then eventually in a few years, there'll be a study to reduce the speed limit. But the first step is to put in better infrastructure. Next slide. There's been a history of crashes along Barrett Avenue. How many folks walk and bike along Barrett Avenue? Can I get a show of hands? Walk or bike or drive? If you drive on Barrett Avenue, this is for you as well. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable for walking because there's not a lot of safe crosswalks. There's bike lane drops off. Also, if you're driving, there's not left turn pockets since you're competing with 2 lanes of traffic making a left turn. And so this makes it very uncomfortable for everybody. It makes it also very confusing for everybody because not everybody knows what each other is supposed to do. If you're making a left turn, you have to pay attention to a lot. And you also have to pay attention to cars behind you because they're approaching you. And so there's a lot going on. And so we've seen a history of crashes, both pedestrian and bicycle crashes, more on the east of the BART tracks on Barrett Avenue than on the west side. So we put in more safety improvements there. So what we're looking to do is we're going to be looking to put in a 2-way left turn lane that makes it safe for you folks to be able to wait while cars pass by to make left turns. We also are going to be putting left turn pockets with your own separate phase for left turns. Instead of being an unprotected left, like I don't think anybody likes unprotected left turns. So we're getting rid of them. Let's get them all protected. We're also going to be putting in protected bike lanes. Richmond has been putting in a bunch of protected bike lanes over the years. There's different types of bike facilities. You see on Barrett Avenue, there is a shared lane marking that just tells bikes and cars are supposed to share. That's confusing for everybody because you, as your driver, you don't even know what the bike's supposed to do. The bike doesn't know what they're supposed to do. It's confusing. The next type of facility is bike lanes. That tells the bikes they're supposed to be over here and the cars are supposed to be here. That's not only for cyclists, that's also for cars to know how to interact with a bike and how bike movements are supposed to be a little bit more predictable because now they're over there and they're supposed to be over there, so it's a little bit more predictable. But still, if you were in a bike and you want to make a left turn, you have to cross over lanes of traffic. And the next step is protected bike lanes where you see posts or a curb there. And that tells the bikes they're supposed to stay in that facility and they make left turns similar to a pedestrian. And so we've created crossings that make that clear. We're also putting median refuges. This is a very busy road, so you'll be able to cross the road, stop at a median refuge, look for the traffic on the other side, and then cross again. This makes it safer for pedestrians overall. We're also putting curb ramps, especially directional curb ramps. So these are curb ramps. Instead of the angled curb ramp that kind of pushes you into the intersection in an angle, this is going to direct you to the exact side of the street where you're going to end up. So it's very good for the visually impaired because now they'll be able to follow the back of the curb ramp, continue to walk in a straight line, and then they end up on the other sidewalk instead of the angled curb ramp. So we're going to be putting that throughout the corridor here. So what we have on Barrett Avenue, like I mentioned, we have a shared lane road. Or if we go to the next slide, yeah, cool. We have yeah, there it is. Okay, so on Barrett Avenue, at, from between Harbor Way and 18th Street, we have right now a regular bike lane and 2 lanes of traffic. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking away a lane, just reallocating the lane space to put it for a protected bike lane, improving the signal timing, improving the pedestrian improvements, improving the signal timing and improving pedestrian access, and having safe areas for bikes to be able to cross. This area, we're also looking, because we know that this is near the hospital, we're going to be making the protected bike lane be an emergency access lane. Thank you, Fire Department, for your advice on that, but we're going to make that into emergency access lane, so Fire Department will be able to use that lane, so if there is an emergency and there is traffic, they'll be able to use that facility to get where they need to go. It's much easier for a bike to move out of the way than a car in traffic to move out of the way. So that's what we're doing between Harbor and 18th Street. Next slide. And between 18th Street and 25th Avenue, right now it's 2 lanes in each direction with shared lane markings. We're going to be taking that and putting in a 2-way left turn lane down the middle, and also designated pockets and with protected phases for people to turn on and off Barrett Avenue, making the intersection feel a lot smaller, and adding in pedestrian priority, leading pedestrian interval. A leading pedestrian interval is when the pedestrian presses the button, they get like a small half-second head start before the red light goes. So that way, somebody's already walking, they're already seen, they're already in the intersection. They have the priority. Instead of it turning green, the ped symbol and the green face happen at the same time, and then you have this confusing dance right when you cross. And so we're going to make it so the pedestrian gets a little bit of a head start as they move along the corridor. Bikes can go at that same time too, so they're also kind of ahead, and they're able to get through the intersection before the cars all make right turns. Next slide. So we've had a few rounds of community outreach already. We had a community walk where we walked along the corridor with quite a few residents, and the council member attended that. We've also had a community meeting where we in this room where we brought folks in and we put comments online on the paper you see here. We also have an online tool which I'll share with you where we received 32 comments along the corridor. I think 35 comments now along the corridor, giving suggestions, and now we want to hear from you all in this room, and also if you share with your family members and friends the tool, and that way if people who can't attend here or don't feel comfortable attending a meeting can be able to provide some input from the comfort of their home or on their phone. Next slide. And this is the QR code. If you would like to comment online, just feel free to take a photo of this QR code right here. It's also on the city website. If you want to type it in, it's bit.ly/Barrett, BARRETT, AV, PC. This is a tool where you'll be able to go on your phone and put a pin wherever you want. Tell me that the bike lane sucks. Tell me that it's great. Tell me whatever. This is how we get our input. And we want to hear from you all. Like I mentioned, at the end of the day, taxpayer dollars is meant to be for you. So we want to hear that input and see it. You all to be able to see other people's comments in there. So if there's a comment on there that you hate, tell me you hate it. You know, I want to hear all the input so we can make this project really meant for you all. Did anybody who needed to take a photo still need to take a photo here of this? Okay, if everybody got it. Cool. Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'll walk through the corridor real quick, and then using that link, and I sent you the wrong link. Cool. I sent you the right link just now. Yeah.
Meanwhile, as Beatrice is getting the email, so the funding for this project is coming from a grant, MTC is sponsoring it. We're investing some money here, also local money. So really important that you provide input, feedback. Again, as Vignesh mentioned, it's going to be a 1-lane traffic and 1 lane for the bicycle. So there's going to be some impact for everybody, but hopefully we can secure those bicyclists. So very crucial to hear from you guys. And I don't know if the fire chief has anything to say. Do you want to add?
I was mainly here, wanted to make sure that everybody knows as these pedestrian and bike paths are put in the city, Fire department's making sure we're at the table to give input. We're trying to strike a balance between our emergency routes we take to get to you when you call 911. And with this project in particular, we're mindful that Kaiser Hospital is right at one side of this project. It's a vital resource in the community. It's the only hospital we have in Richmond, and we don't want to severely impact access to that. And what many of you may not realize, it's also a landing zone for helicopters.
Beatrice? Beatrice?
We got technology back.
Okay. I'm doing all this thing, so y'all don't have to get. But I'll be available after to talk through the quarter. I want us to go from east to west. This is when you open up that link, you're going to see this tool right here. And if you could zoom in on this side over here. Yeah, you could zoom in right there. Maybe just show these two blocks.
Right, some more?
Oh, yeah, just shift it over. Or you mind if I run for a second? I feel like even in 2025, we're still buffering on, on everything. Is okay. Well, I'll talk about it since some of you guys are familiar with Barrett Avenue. Barrett Avenue had a road diet. We call it a road diet where we'll go from 4 lanes down to 3 lanes, where we go from 2 lanes in each direction, and then we put a center turn lane right here. It had a road diet done previously just east of 25th Street, and now this project is a continuation of that to Harbor Way. So we've continued that all the way from 25th Street past the funeral home, over to 23rd Street. At 23rd Street and 22nd, we're very aware that these are 2 very major arterials and major ways to get in and out of town. Taking away a lane will cause traffic. I can't deny that. So we kept an extra lane at these 2 intersections here. So it opens up and gets people out of the corridor and get them onto the arterial roads. So yes, we are taking away lane for majority of the corridor, but at the intersections, based on the signal timing, we're opening it back up so the traffic will still flow well at these 2 blocks right here. We also are putting in your own dedicated left turn pocket with your own phase at these 2 blocks. And then as we continue on over to 19th and 18th Street, there right now is a history of crashes at 18th Street. And there's also an uncontrolled crosswalk right there at 18th Street next to the BART station. There was a crash. Pedestrians feel very uncomfortable. People coming up underneath from underneath the tracks, and they're going fast. And so we found that there's already backup from people trying to make that uncontrolled left onto 18th Street. So what we're doing is we're making a long pocket at 19th Street and giving them their own phase, and we're blocking that access off because it's found to be very, very unsafe. And so we're going to put their own phase because people are fighting not only at 18th Street, but also at 19th Street because there's no turn pocket and no protection. So we're putting our own turn pocket with its own phase at 19th Street for folks to turn into that neighborhood and blocking it off and putting a median refuge right there. This is stuff that we've proposed and we've heard good input from that. But if y'all don't like it, I want to hear about it online or in the papers on the back. Moving along here between 18th Street and Harbor Way, we're having protected bike lanes. We're putting in large right turn pockets to make it easy for people to get off and on Harbor Way, protection on both sides. We're also putting what we call a curb extension that makes a pedestrian not have to cross so far. So they don't have to, it's a shorter crosswalk we extend the sidewalk out so it's shorter, and then they get a refuge, and then they get a short crossing on the other side. So we're making it really, really comfortable for people to walk and bike in this community here. And again, this is the online tool. It's really easy to use. You can use it on your phone. Google Translate also translates everything. So we suggest you guys provide your input and see what other folks have there online, or you provide your comments here. We also have an email link that was in the flyers that were sent out to you all that you can also email, and we'll be able to provide that input for you all. This is the last round of input we're having, and then after that, we're going to put pen to paper and draw this out and get this constructed next year. So it's really important for us to hear from you all with this in this project. We can go back to the slide deck. I think with that, I'll take a question and answer. If you guys have any questions, I would love to hear from you now. Otherwise, I'm available to come talk in the back, or if there's something, just please write it down there for us to take in your input. Yeah.
What are the thoughts behind having trees and shrubs planted in these protected bicycle lane and pedestrian lanes?
That's a great thing that we'd love to do. We do these projects a lot of times with paint and plastic first, because we don't want to immediately put in curbs, and what if everybody hates it? No, I hope you guys don't hate it, but what if everybody hates it? Then it's something that we can still receive input and take out. But if everybody likes it, then the city goes and gets funding to go put in trees and planting in the next phase of it, when they put curbs down and more. But in this first phase of this project, we do it with paint and plastic to see how it operates with the fire department as well. Make sure that they can still use the facilities. But we're doing outreach now. But I will also say, when you see paint and plastic roads, that's another form of community outreach. It's going to be out there for a few years, but then you guys can really put in your input before it goes and they invest the big bucks and put in trees and planting. There's trees and planting right now between 18th Street and Harbor Way. We don't have a lot of room to put trees and planting between 18th Street and 25th. There's just not a lot of room right there. Also, we don't want to take away parking along the corridor for that, because there's only a 5-foot sidewalk. We'll take in that input. I saw somebody else commented that as well, and we'll see what we can consider and put in for future funding. Oh, I forgot to mention, we're also putting lighting, ped level lighting along the corridor, and we're also doing a bit on Marina Way that I didn't show here. That's a recent change. So Marina Way from Barrett to Nevin, we're going to be putting in bike lanes there, just so it's easy for people to get to the BART station and back. Yeah.
My specific question is on the bike lane that you're planning on adding, but what about when there isn't a street light and it's not safe to like go as a bike rider?
So if I understand your question, I only heard the second half of it, but that's if there isn't a street light, what do you do as a bike rider to be able to cross the street and be able to have access?
I need you to speak on the microphone, so otherwise people can't hear. Si lo puede decir de nuevo, por favor, para que...
What can we do when the area specific is very dark? And on Barrett specifically, and all the way to Harbor Way, there are areas that are very, very dark. There's no street light. And there's a lot of pedestrians walking. And there have been a lot of accidents. What are you going to do in that area so that there is more, not just the the traffic light, but also street light.
So as part of this project, I'm happy to say that we are putting streetlights on Bayard Avenue from between the BART station and Harbor Way. And these are going to be pedestrian level lights that are low enough. And we're going to trim some of the trees so that people will be able to be seen so the lights aren't blocked by the trees. We are also putting undercrossing lights underneath the railroad tracks, undercrossing to make it feel safer when you cross underneath with the BART tracks and the Union Pacific Railroad tracks on Barrett Avenue. We're also doing the same thing on McDonald because both these areas we've heard feel very unsafe for people to cross. And so street lighting is part of this project. We are not doing street lighting east of 18th Street. There already is street light there and there isn't a lot of trees there, but between the BART tracks and Harbor Way, we are putting street lighting. Part of our exercise is we're going to walk the corridor with an instrument and check to see that the lights are bright enough and make sure that they all are bright enough and they all are covered the whole way.
¿Alguien más tiene alguna pregunta en relación al corredor? Está bien que la hagan en español, ya tenemos traducción simultánea para él también.
And on Barrett, there is a crosswalk and there's like a little bridge. And there's an area that is very difficult to cross when pedestrians are crossing. I have seen people that are trying to cross. And is there anything that can be done to improve just for the pedestrians to feel a little more secure crossing? Because it's an area that's very dark and it's very hidden, that we don't feel secure. Thank you.
So on both sides of the bridge, there's 18th Street, and we're going to be taking away the left turn axis and putting a pedestrian refuge right in the middle. And so people will be able to cross and wait there and cross back on 18th Street. We're also be putting flashing lights on both sides of that so that it's people will be able to see that it's flashing when someone presses the button at 18th Street. On Marina Avenue, we're putting in a fourth crosswalk. So there's only 3 crosswalks right now. We're putting in a 4th crosswalk there because when people are trying to get to the BART station, they may be running. And so we want to make sure that we have a way for them to cross there that's the shortest distance there. And yeah, and that's going to be, it's very important, and we're doing that in this project.
Good evening. My question is, are there any projects that are aiming to add bathrooms to the parks? Because there are some parks that don't have any, and there's no access to those services. And when I go to the park, usually my children have to go to the bathroom and we have to go home to use the bathroom. And there are many people that just go right there in public, and because there aren't any bathrooms available. And if that, I don't know if that is a plan to be added, to add the bathrooms to parks. This question is directly just for the project on Barrett and not for the parks. It's just specifically to the streets. And so we are building to go on to crossing for bikes and for pedestrians. So we are trying to monitor, but we will be considering those issues that we will add it to the other projects that are ongoing. We are just talking about Barrett Street, not specific, not to any other. So right now, we're just focusing on Barrett Avenue. And so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we will discuss other streets in the next meetings. and I do use bicycles and I do walk. My issue is that if you could just have, I'm happy that you are adding the lanes just for bicycles because there aren't many. And also for people that are pushing strollers. And specifically in that area, there have been a lot of accidents. And I usually walk, and the fire department that is there have witnessed all of these accidents. There was one 2 weeks ago, and the fire department had to make a U-turn to come and aid in that incident. But what are you gonna do to make sure that there is maintenance to all these areas that are being added? Because there are many areas that just go and deteriorate over time, and they are not maintained to long term. So my question is, what is the maintenance? Because people do throw a lot of trash and it's not clean enough. And also, if there are any portable potties that, they're overflowing, and it's contamination of toxic waste on this area.
Question about maintenance of these facilities. I'll pass it to you guys. For this project, we are, for the first question about the strollers, we are putting curb ramps that are going to be directional. So if you're pushing a stroller, you don't get pushed into the intersection at an angle. You're now be able to push your stroller straight along the sidewalk, and that continues on that way. So you're not going to be pushed into the bike lane or into the corner when you are pushing a stroller or pushing a cart or anything like that. You'll be able to go straight down, and we're angling that. So there's two curb ramps at every intersection instead of there just being one that's pointed at an angle. And then for the question of maintenance, we are making these so it's easy for the third part, the question about fire trucks being able to make U-turns. We are planning for them to be able to make U-turns at these intersections, even though we're making it smaller. And then for the third question about maintenance of these facilities, Hilal can talk a little bit more about maintenance of these facilities, but these facilities will be wide enough for the sweeper to be able to go down, because we're making it wide enough for the fire department to be able to drive down them as well. And so sometimes you may see protected bike lanes that are too skinny and you won't be able to have a full street sweeper, but these ones will be wide enough for a street sweeper. It won't look that way because we're going to put paint, but the posts are going to be set up a little bit of a side so they are wide enough to do so. And Hilal, you want to add?
I mean, since we're gonna have a wide bike lane and where the fire or the emergency cars can use it, so that gives you enough room for the sweeper to come and clean it. I don't see any issues that is gonna impede him from cleaning or maintaining it. We're gonna have channelizers, those plastic ones that you see on some of the streets, and those, the plastics, so you can drive on it in case of some kind of emergency or whatever. But regardless, maintenance, we don't see any issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all. That answered everything. Well, thank you.
I would like to know where the funds are coming from for those improvements.
Good question. Thank you. So, for this project, we're limited. We got like $2.5–3 million to invest in this stretch of that project. Long term, again, we'll have to explore where we can get and what to improve, of course. Like Vignesh mentioned, we're going to have lighting, we're going to have curb ramps, some signals, the bike lanes. So it's a huge investment here for this corridor. We'll see what else we need to add in the future.
Well, the city has some plans for maintenance, but we'll take that comment and we'll make sure that the city is aware of that, and the correct people in our city are aware of that this is a priority for the community to make sure that it's maintained.
Do we have any other questions? ¿Tenemos alguna otra pregunta específicamente sobre Barrett?
My suggestion is what I have is for a 19th Street in Barrett, because the street line does not have a signal to when the cars turn left, and I was struck by a car in that corner, and I heard that you do have plans to add more lanes and make them wider. However, I think that it is important to add the left turn arrow.
I'm so sorry that you had an accident on Barrett Avenue. We are addressing that in this project. We are putting a left turn pocket that's designated for you on Barrett Avenue with a left turn phase with a green light that's going to be just for both sides to make left turns. This is part of the project. It's going to get a full new signal because we've seen a history of crashes. I'm really sorry that one of those crashes was you. That's why we're investing in this community and doing this this project. But we are putting a two-way left turn lane all the way down the street, and then it becomes a left turn pocket at 19th Street. We're also making that left turn pocket long enough for all the vehicles to be able to turn, and making that timing long enough for that protected phase for all the vehicles that do need to turn during peak hour. So we are addressing that, but I'll see what else we can do to make that pocket longer or put additional time for that. But that is something that we are addressing in this project.
Thank you for the presentation. Thanks everyone for your questions. If you have any additional questions, the team is going to be here and there's a map in the back. If you want to paste your comments, they have post-its for you to be able to put them right there so that they can take them with them. Para la gente que nos ayuda con su retroalimentación, si quieren poner más comentarios, está en la parte de atrás el mapa, y aquí está el staff de Kimley and Horn que nos está ayudando, y Hilal, que es parte de la ciudad. Así que pueden ponerlos allá atrás. Vamos a seguir con la siguiente presentación porque tenemos 2 presentaciones más antes de terminar la reunión de hoy. So we're going to continue with the next presentation. So thank you so much for your presentation, guys. We have Jason from Economic Development, and he's going to present on the Small Business Building Beautification Pilot Program.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Jason De Leon. I'm with Economic Development. My program or my presentation today is a Small Business Building Beautification Pilot Program. So just to get this interactive, how many people shop in Richmond? Okay, a lot of people do. How many people see stores in your neighborhood that could use a fresh coat of paint, a new window, a new door? Okay, hands are up. So that is essentially what led to this program. So before I start, I wanted to introduce our business partners in this. Along with Richmond Rising, we have 2 representatives from the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. We have Aaron Burke and Tatiana Hermanston. I just want to introduce them to you. They've been working with me and my department on trying to develop this program in order to beautify businesses in this target area. So just really quick background. So as you know, TCC got $35 million. Part of those funds was allocated to this beautification program. Along with some of the TCC money, the city council approved a couple of $100,000 to put into providing these grants, no-cost grants to businesses in the area in order for them to improve their facades. Okay, next slide. So why beautification matters. A lot of people raised their hands saying some of these businesses needed sprucing up, needed to just look a little better. Why does beautification matter in terms of economic development? Well, when it's an attractive storefront, you invite people in. You want people to come in and shop and to come in and just look around. We want to also build community pride, have a sense of community that everyone on the street is working towards the same goal of just everyone having economic vitality. And by having beautiful storefronts, you'll get more foot traffic. I mean, along 23rd alone, you have a lot of businesses, but if they look better, or they do look better, but if they looked even better, more better, you'd invite more people to, not only just people from Richmond, but also from the outside, come in and shop at your stores. Next slide. So just really quick, the reason why we're here is to get feedback from those in the community about this program. So again, we worked with Renaissance Center to try and develop these program guidelines to make it as fair as possible, but also reach as many people as possible. So some of the eligible improvements that we're offering to the businesses that we'd like to do are painting, sign upgrades, lighting enhancement, window and door replacement, landscaping, and murals or public art. And each business, commercial business, would be eligible for up to $15,000 under this grant program. Next slide. Ineligible improvements. So as part of getting the feedback, me and Beatrice and Matthias and finance went around to businesses in the area and asked them for some feedback. And one of the questions was, hey, can we take this money and build new bathrooms, or can we order equipment? And unfortunately, no. The whole purpose is to beautify the front in order to invite people to come in. So just these are some of the examples of what we deem ineligible expenses. Next slide. So who can apply? So people raise their hands that they know businesses that could use a new facade. So street-facing retail and nonprofits would be eligible under this program. We would also open up the program to property owners who have storefronts, but they haven't opened it because they choose not to or for whatever reason. But we wanted to make this program available to them with the hopes that they beautify the front and open it up for someone to start a small business or open a small business. So another criteria, of course, is being in the TCC area. One of the other criteria is having less than $2 million in revenue in last year, 2024. And so this way, we eliminate the bigger businesses, the Foods Co., the 7-Elevens, those kind of businesses that already generate revenue. This is targeted really for small businesses who need those improvements or who need these grant funds to make improvements. Next slide. The businesses that aren't eligible would be home-based businesses, administrative only, meaning they're headquarters for businesses, but they don't receive any kind of foot traffic from customers on the street, and non-compliant businesses. We use that term, but essentially it's those businesses that are operating illegally that we all know of in the area. We don't want to make them eligible to make their storefronts beautiful. It makes no sense. So, next slide. Thank you. So we are here today to present this program to gather your feedback. You don't have to give it to us now, but if you know a business in the area or are a business in the area and look at the criteria, we would love to gather your feedback to say whether or not this works, this doesn't work, or any kind of feedback would be appreciated. We would take the next week and a half, 2 weeks to get that feedback, and then we would hopefully launch the program officially towards the end of November. And last slide. For feedback, Renaissance Center, Aaron and Tatiana, they will be available you can either drop off or send them a letter to this address. You can email them or you can give them a call, and they are Spanish speaking as well too, so that phone number will work for feedback. And I know I went through this presentation really quickly. I do have flyers that I'll put out here that give the highlight overview of the program. It's both in English and Spanish, so you can take it with you and maybe bring it to a business that you know of to give them a heads up saying, hey, this program is going to start soon. You might want to take a look into it. So I'll stop there and ask if there's any questions.
Thank you, Jason. Are there any questions from the committee? Comments, questions from the committee? Do we have any comments or questions from the public? ¿Tenemos alguna pregunta o algún comentario del público en relación a este programa?
Yeah, thanks for sharing this project. I'm just wondering, like, how are we spreading the word? Are people aware that this is something that's going on? Are we going to be going around asking businesses if they're interested in participating?
Great question. Thank you for that. So we have started foot canvassing. So we're targeting the commercial corridors. We also have access to business license information. So everyone who's a registered business in the area will get an email officially launching the program. We'll also reach out to our local business partners and Richmond Rising and all the other community organizations to let them know the opportunity.
¿Hay alguna otra pregunta? Are there any other questions in relationship to this program? Any business owners that are in the project area in here? Thank you, everyone. Do we have the next presentation, the person who's going to do the next presentation, Richmond Arts Corridor? Okay, it seems that we don't. So if we don't have them yet, is it okay if we do our updates now? I apologize for pushing it to back, but now we're ready to go there. If you need time to grab some food, there's additional food in here, so please feel free to join us and take more. If you weren't able to get any food, please get some food. Thanks everyone for taking a break with us. We're gonna continue. We're gonna continue with the presentation related to our updated status report. So I'm gonna go while you guys finish your food. I'm gonna start with grantee. So the work completing since that meeting, you know that we have finalized the Complete Streets grant requirement checklist for neighborhood complete streets and Richmond Wellness Trail for us to get secure the regional measure 3 funding allocation. We received the updated estimates from the Neighborhood Complete Streets and Richmond Wellness Trail Phase 2 projects. We met with Richmond Police and Fire departments to discuss the Richmond Wellness Trail Phase 2. We completed the end of year reporting with city budget staff, submitted year 2 annual report for legal opinion and prepared council item, and had the meeting on October 21st, approved by city council to occupy 1600 Nevin Plaza office in a downtown Richmond BART station. So for partners who have heard about this, we took a long time to be able to secure the office, but now we are officially approved by City Council to be able to use the BART station office. So we'll be letting you know when are we opening formally, because we still don't have the computers, the desks installed. So we will be doing this by the end of the year, and we'll have a party celebration, and this space will be yours too, and for the community. So if you want to come to do community outreach there, to do trainings, that space will be available for you. So just wanted to let you know that that's happening. Total expenditures up to date, $393,000. Remaining budget, $300,000. Plan work in the next 2 weeks, coordinate to the move-in into the new office, finalize amendments and modifications that we are already working on with you. And apologies, I am not able to see my own presentation. And respond to invoice 13 comments from the Strategic Growth Council. And I'm gonna pass on the mic. Oh no, Neighborhood Complete Streets, our work completed since last meeting. We received confirmation from Department of Transportation that we got the award for Reconnecting Communities pilot program, as you know, and this award was for $9.5 million, and will be continued and we have been continued to following up with questions with the Department of Transportation. We continued collaboration with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission to receive Regional Measure 3 funds. That's $10 million for this project and Richmond Wellness Trail. And we developed and updated the budget and estimates for the project and presented to the Richmond Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee on October the 20th, and held an all-hands meeting with Public Works and the consultants to review the updated project and scope. Total expenditure, $103,000. Remaining budget, $5 million. Planned in the next 2 weeks. Submit the Regional Measure 3 staff report and request for legal opinion to City for City Council, so we can accept the funds from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. And I'm gonna pass it on to Richmond Wellness Trail. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Annie. I'm talking about the Richmond Wellness Trail update. Richmond Wellness Trail, just a reminder, is the bicycle and pedestrian route along Marina Way south from the Richmond Greenway to the waterfront. Work completed since last meeting as scope, budget, grant, and timeline coordination with city staff, in part due to new funds that we are receiving, just as Beatrice mentioned, for Neighborhood Complete Streets. So that's related to a federal grant and a Regional Measure 3 grant. Continued design coordination, and just like Beatrice said, for the Neighborhood Complete Streets, there was a presentation to the Richmond Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, BPAC, for design review. Total expenditures reported to date, $330,000. Remaining budget, $4.5 million. Planned work in the next 2 weeks is budget reallocations and coordination, contracting to look at the new funds that we're getting, and that's coordination with the city, and then continued project design and coordination with city departments, AC Transit, and railroads.
Thank you, Annie. We're pass it on to the e-bike lending library project. Are you gonna do, Gabby? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabby. I'm with Rich City Rides, and I'm here covering for Mayeli, who's our e-bike lending library program manager. We're completed since last meeting. Outreach was completed at the Electric Transformation Fair on Saturday, October 25th. Youth Fellows were also there. They were helping gather surveys. The e-bike lending library team also met with the City of Richmond's mayoral team and discussed the e-bike lending library program, and the outreach and community engagement continued for the month of October. Total expenditure reported to date, 261,000, remaining budget, 2.1 million. Planned work in the next 2 weeks is to continue to meet with community leaders and discuss the e-bike lending library project, as well as continue with community outreach and engagement. And lastly, draft the submission for the local community benefits fund grant program. Next person, Resilient Homes.
Thank you. Ambassador Kante with Grid Alternatives, speaking on behalf of Resilient Homes, which is the solar and energy efficiency project. Work completed since last meeting. Planning and training for November 12th and December 10th workshops. The November 12th workshop will be at the City Council Chambers, 450 Civic Center, and the December 10th workshop, solar workshop, will be here at Nevin Center from 6 to 8 p.m. Also, coordination with Rich City Rise to work with fellows for upcoming workshops, bi-monthly TCC reporting period, and we attended lifelong medical Spanish-speaking CHP cohort members kickoff meeting last week. Planned work in the next, total expenditures reported to date or $966,000, remaining budget about $6 million. Planned work in the next 2 weeks. We're holding a November 12th solar workshop at the City Council Chambers and December 10th, a solar workshop at Nevin Community Center. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right. Some updates for our Basins of Relations program. We're currently running our Basins of Relations training program for 10 young adult apprentices from Richmond. The training program started in September. It's going to go through December. We just did a lot of native planting with that crew this week. We also completed 3 drip irrigation system installations plus drought-tolerant plant installation for Iron Triangle homeowners, part of our water conservation work. Total expenditures to date, 352,000. Remaining budget, 1.2 million approximately. The next couple of weeks, we'll still be doing our Basis of Relations training program for the young adult apprentices, including getting some experience with water conservation system installations for those young people. And then we'll continue to be doing water conservation installations for Iron Triangle homeowners, 1 laundry landscape system and 2 drip irrigation systems.
Good evening. My name is Lorena Castillo, and I'm with Groundwork Richmond. I don't like talking with my back to people. So we had a really good month. We had our 14th annual Arbor Day, where we planted 29 trees along the Richmond Greenway between 2nd and 4th Street. We're going to adopt a new spot called the Grove. So we're hoping to plant more plants there and hopefully more trees in the future. And this is the entry to the Greenway. So it was a neglected area. So we're really happy to plant trees and bring some beautification to that part of the Greenway. We also planted 11 residential street trees and 8 more trees along the Greenway in partnership with the city. So it was a busy tree planting month for us. We started our new workforce development cohort in October, and we hired 11 participants from Richmond. And this is our training program where our youth gain hands-on experience planting trees and just in general green infrastructure jobs. And this cohort will be with us for an entire year. So they will be getting trained and getting soft skills and getting paid for an entire year. So excited about that program. We've spent roughly $250,000 to date, and we have $840,000 remaining. And we're getting ready for our fundraiser called Giving Tuesday in December. And we're also going to partner with Youth Outdoors program with the city in December to hopefully plant some more trees. So that's all we have. Thank you. And I'll pass it over to Universally Accessible Community Gardens.
All right. So I'm trying to pull it up on my computer as well. But yeah, for the ADA garden, the Universally Accessible Community Garden, work completed since last meeting, received permitting for the project, and put the project out to bid. Definitely a big step. Total expenditures reported to date, 110,627, remaining budget 844,000. And planned work in the next 2 weeks, revise and update construction schedule for submission, and plan a community building day according to the schedule. And I think it's still me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Orchard for All, work completed since last meeting. 33 fruit trees distributed at our local free farm stands in the project area. 12 in Lucas Park and 21 in Unity Park. We serviced 30 trees, harvested and gleaned 540 pounds of produce from our fruit trees, serviced 23 homes in the project area, and participated in some community events, Atchison Village Community Day and Arbor Day, and gave away 29 more fruit trees at those events. Total expenditures reported to date 235,000 and remaining budget 932,000. Planned work in the next 2 weeks, giving away our last 48 trees at our local farm stands and future events in the project area, servicing 40 more trees, harvesting 150 pounds of produce of fruit, and servicing 10 homes in the project area with installed trees. And I'll pass it to Bailey for VeggieRx here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bailey. I'm the VeggieRx project manager. And since the last meeting, we've created some new kids curriculum for our climate-friendly diet workshops on organic farming and health. We finalized our workshop schedule for the rest of the year. And then yesterday, we also hosted a climate-friendly diet workshop at Shields Nursing Center. And then earlier in October, we started the 4th cohort of the climate health promoters, and I'm going to pass it to the lifelong team to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Bailey. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Ivan Iniguez. I'm a family medicine doctor in training. I work at Lifelong, and I'm joined here by our climate health promoters. This is, I think, a couple years into our climate health promoter program. We have 30 people joining us this year. Some of our community members are here with us, but we also have folks online that joined us as well. So some of us, yeah, a round of applause, please, for everybody. Yeah, we're essentially teaching community members how to combine community health with sustainability, specifically within the context of the Richmond Rising project. Some of our folks here are going to be working with some of the orgs that work in Richmond Rising. Specifically this year, we're working with Urban Tilth, but in future years, we're hoping to work with a lot more of the projects that you guys are proposing. So just wanted to make this acknowledgement. Thank you guys for having us. We're really glad to be a part of this, and thanks for involving the community in all these decisions.
And then for our budget, we've spent $916,000 and we have 2.3 million remaining.
Do you want to do the planned work, Bailey? Do the planned work already.
Sorry. And for planned work, we have we're going to the Lucas Park picnic and play event on Saturday. And then we also have a workshop coming up in December, again at Shields Nursing Center.
In relationship to our e-bike share program, oh, I went one slide ahead. As you know, there's 8 bike hubs already installed, and there's 70 bikes available for the project area. They have provided now they just provide maintenance. We have Salma here, who's the project manager from today. Salma, if you can raise your hand. For the people who were For people who are interested on knowing how the bike share system operates, and I know there were questions about this because I was in the first day of the Climate Promoters cohort, please talk to her before we end the meeting or after we end the meeting, and get information from her and ask her how to get the app on your phone and anything that you need. She's the person to talk to. And I am gonna share. Oh, sorry. The total expenditure is $526,000. Remaining budget $472,000. And the planned work in the next 2 weeks is to receive missing information that we need to submit to the state from Right Today. And I am gonna pass on the microphone for the community engagement plan to Gabby. Oh, to Judah.
Alrighty. For the community engagement plan, work completed since the last meeting. The youth fellows have the option of signing up to 5 different tasks this month, ranging from tabling, teaching community members how to ride a bike, hosting a gratitude bike ride, and working with grid alternatives at some community meetings. Malia is currently working on preparing for our gratitude bike ride this month. It's on November 22nd, and the flyer will be posted by the end of the week. Malia and Gabby are attending a networking/coaching workshop led by the All Stars Project. This is the second workshop we will be attending for All Stars. The first workshop was a public speaking workshop that youth fellows got the opportunity to participate in back in September. I was one of them. Rich City Rides is doing free bike riding lessons this Saturday, November 8th at Lucas Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Rich City Rides is also hosting a bike obstacle course that day. The flyer for this event is posted on Instagram at Rich City Rides. Total expenditures reported to date around $400,000. Remaining budget $2.2 million. Planned work in the next 2 weeks. Youth fellows will be attending a social media workshop on the safety, marketing, and all the need to knows of creating social media content for our Richmond Rising social media pages. Youth fellows will also host their 3rd bike ride of the year on November 22nd at 9 a.m. Meetup is at Unity Park. Contact Malia for additional questions about the ride.
Thanks, Judah. We're now with the displacement avoidance plan. I think you heard most of it. We are working with local agencies and businesses and elected officials to discuss the development taking place in Richmond downtown. And we work to finalize the insurance requirement to contract the partner for Buy Local campaign. And as you heard earlier today with Jason's presentation, coordination with Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center to facilitate the grant application process for the facade improvement project. So that's currently happening. You heard about the program now. And completed all administrative tasks related to insurance to get the partner to provide the services provided, to provide the services that they were contracted for, and attend meetings to coordinate the project with the city. We also visited businesses in the project area to receive feedback from them on the program and to finalize the facade beautification program parameters. Total expenditure up to date, $159,000. Remaining budget, $522,000. And the planned work in the next 2 weeks is to consolidate the feedback from the businesses and from the CSC meeting feedback that was got today and finalize the facade beautification program parameters. I'm going to pass the microphone to the UC Berkeley team to talk about the indicator tracking plan.
Hi everyone, Alicia Bruno with UC Berkeley. Since the last meeting, our team has had the pleasure and honor of interviewing our youth fellows for our annual report case studies. We started mapping project progress, including, for example, installations for Basins of Relations, Resilient Homes, and Bosque del Barrio. And we worked on report drafting. Our total expenditures to date, 523,000 approximately, and remaining budget 546,000. And work planned in the next few weeks. We'll draft our youth fellow case studies. We'll continue to map project area level progress and continue our report drafting, which we're hoping to share with you at the next meeting in December.
Thank you, Alice. In relationship to our workforce development program, we completed work since last meeting related to beginning coordination with Employment and Training Division from the city to revise the expanded workforce program deliverables that have to be provided through this work plan. And our total expenditure up to date is $263,000. Remaining budget is $1.1 million. And planned work in the next 2 weeks is to coordinate with the Strategic Growth Council regarding this expanded workforce program deliverables. And this is the last slide that we have in relationship to updates. I want to open the questions and comments for partners in the committee. Do you have any comments, questions in relationship to the projects that you just heard about? No? Are we good? I know it's been a long meeting, so I understand if there's no more questions. Do we have any questions from the public? ¿Tenemos alguna pregunta del público? This was an update on what has happened on the grant. I know you're learning about Richmond Rising in the Climate Health Promoters Program. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Sé que están aprendiendo ahora en su programa sobre Richmond Rising. Estos son las actualizaciones que tenemos del proyecto. Si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, háganosla saber. Don't see any hands raised. I saw a hand raised in the Zoom link, but I can't see it anymore. I don't know if that was by mistake, but if there any of the attendees wants to ask any question or provide any feedback, please let us know. Raise your hand, and I'll definitely let you speak. Okay, I don't see any hands raised anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask Matthias, do we have the next speaker? Okay. We have one last presentation and very little time to do so. So we're gonna just ask the presenter to please try to do the shortest presentation possible. And I don't know who's the person. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Give me 1 second to get to your slides. And thank you so much for joining us.
Is here okay?
Yeah.
All right. I know I came into like a super long meeting, so I'll try and keep the energy up, and I appreciate y'all's patience so much. My name's Kendall, and I'm the community engagement representative for a group called the Richmond Renaissance. So our group believes that art is a pathway to healing and community unity. And a way that we're trying to make that happen is something called the Richmond Arts Corridor. So has anyone been down to a street that is just full of arts and culture? There's dancing in the streets. I see you nodding. Where were you at?
So I was going along McDonald, somewhere near the what's the? I believe that's one. Yeah, Civic Center. There you go. I saw quite a few murals on the walls.
So yeah, we have a huge amount of arts and culture here in the city of Richmond, and there's places like San Francisco. You can go to Balmy Alley, and there's galleries, there's museums, and there's people getting off work and going and enjoying the art, connecting with their neighbors. And our group, Richmond Renaissance, understands that we can revitalize, renew Richmond through arts investment. So we're collaborating. You can go to the next slide. We're collaborating with a few groups across Richmond. So what you mentioned, the Richmond Art Center is collaborating with NIAD, which is a disability art center. We're also working with RISE, which is a youth center on McDonald, the Richmond History Museum, which is actually right there. So if you haven't gone to the museum, you should check it out. It's here in Nevin Center. As well as several organizations are uniting together to improve downtown Richmond through the Richmond Arts Corridor. We're advocating for funding from the city, also from private funders to make this a reality. Also make Richmond attractive to artists. We want people to come here and make art, also supporting local artists. So this corridor is going to be along McDonald and 23rd Street. So you can probably imagine, I think there's a McDonald's, a Chevron, a smoke shop. That's the current status of the intersection of the corridor, but we really hope to have artist housing, theaters, galleries, all supported by public investment as well as private. So you can go to the next slide. And this is basically what we're imagining, right? We want music in the streets in Richmond. I was in downtown San Francisco the other day, and they were just literally had speakers down Market Street just playing music as I was walking. You know, there's simple fixes that we can make Richmond more exciting, more welcoming, and more safe, really. So we're hoping for more live music events, galleries, public art, and theater, which all leads to unity, which leads to joy, which leads to more dollars getting spent here in our city, more visitors and more pride. So you can go to the next slide. So I had some interactive pieces, but I know y'all are counting down, so I'll keep it short. But maybe if someone in the audience can share why having art in your neighborhood is important to you. History, I'm gonna give the mic over to my friend over there. Here you go.
Is very important to have art in Richmond. It's not only for the children, but also for the adults. It's so important because it develops the city and it brings something new, something good for Richmond. And it's for everyone. And we try to have that the children and the youth participate, and so that they can develop themselves and build a better idea, and it has a big impact in their lives.
Is that okay? Cool. Oh, everyone heard it? Or? Okay.
She basically said that it is so important to have art in Richmond, not only for the children, but also for the youth. It does develop a self of worth, more value, and it does bring a big change that you can see the impact and the change in them.
And I heard her say, we want something new. We want the energy in Richmond, and it's a big project, but we'll get some big rewards. So I agree.
I just wanted to say that music, dance, and art include everybody. So it's so important to everybody to have that. So I think we need that. We really need.
Yeah, okay, we got one more person. I swear I won't go past 8. Here you go.
I want to know if there are any workshops that include for everyone regarding painting and the art of painting.
Yeah, and I've been working, I think you might have seen me here a couple of meetings ago, but I've been working since January to do community engagement for this project. So we tabled at Cinco de Mayo, we were at Juneteenth, we've been asking so many questions. And as you see in this room, Richmond is a beautiful and diverse place that has so many cultures, traditions, artists that we can celebrate together. And so that's totally a goal of this project, and you'll be our last speaker.
I think that art represents the diversity of the communities.
Thank you. And that's something that we should be proud of, right? That's something that we want to show off to everyone. I don't think there's a country in the world that's not represented here in Richmond, and I think we should move that. And so here's just an image. It's really small, but these are just some of the art made by local artists here at NIAD. And so there's so many arts organizations in Richmond. We have the East Bay Center, the Richmond Arts Center, NIAD all support local artists, but they're all kind of islands, right? So this project could be a representative to really lift everyone's boats and promote arts investment that benefits obviously the public as well as the organizations that steward these projects. And so I'll wrap it up now. Why I'm here today is, as I mentioned, I've hosted over 8 community listening sessions throughout the year. I've been tabling at many events and obviously working with all these organizations to unite an idea for what the Arts Corridor can be. And so what I have for you all today, which I think is on your packets, is a survey. So we are launching a community survey to obviously add everything that we've heard throughout our listening sessions, through our research, as well as through our research and studying for the strategic plan. So right now, we need you all to fill out a survey to share what you would like to see in Richmond in the Arts Corridor so that we can present it to the city and the Arts and Cultural Commission to share that this is a community movement, that we want this to happen. On the packet, the slides I didn't go over are just some images of what some of the questions are, so you can place specific pieces of art in Richmond. You can shout out an artist, you can shout out an organization. We really want to show that there's an arts community here in Richmond and that the public supports something like the Arts Corridor. So the QR code is already in your packets. It is in English and Spanish. And I also have flyers that I'll leave on this table. And that is what I have for you all today. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments in relationship to the presentation? Thank you so much.
I think this was a really exciting presentation. I do also want to ground my appreciation for the Richmond Rising project. Within the strategic plan, we're also going to be doing a development without displacement strategy where we'll be highlighting electrification and affordable and community-led real estate development in this arts corridor. So we also really want to support and hear from your group on goals around, economic justice, housing justice, and racial justice.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone hanging in there. This is our last presentation, and I just want to ask very basic questions. Agenda request for next meeting. Do we have anything? It's our December meeting. We were expecting to have just host a little party and bring some snacks and bring some food for the meeting as we always do, but a special treat that Matias and Eduardo are working on, and some non-alcoholic wine. And anything else that you want to share? If you want to share something with community members, you're welcome to join us. Are there any agenda requests for next meeting? I don't see any hands raised, so I'm gonna continue and just open it for general announcements. I know there is, we have two flyers here. The workshop that Ambessa mentioned, November the 12th. The link is there for Zoom. If you want to sign up, there's also the link for RSVPing. Please join us if you are willing to install solar at home. And then I have another slide that is that I'm gonna, yeah. And then the last announcement, I'm gonna share it with Matias because it's a flyer that he added to the slides.
I don't know what happened on the flyer, but this is we're gonna start an indoor basketball group that meets once a month at the recreation complex in Richmond. Our first game is on Saturday, December 6th. So if you're interested, come out. If you want to learn more, there's a QR code on the bottom there, or you can send an email or shoot a text for more information. But yeah, pick up basketball for free indoors on Saturday mornings.
And then I got a last request from Larry, and this is gonna be a last one. Thank you, Larry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Larry, and I'm with the All-Stars Project. And what we do at the All-Stars is we use performance as a tool to develop. So what that looks like is we believe performance is a great tool in terms of imagining new futures, performing new futures, and recognizing the offers that are all around us. With that, we use development and performance for our young people to really see the offers around them and create success in their own lives. With that, if you guys have young people that you guys want to develop, we'd love to be in partnership with you guys, and feel free to contact us.
Thank you, Larry. If anyone is interested, please check in with Larry directly. And I know this sounds difficult, but we actually are done with the meeting. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's 8 p.m. We barely made it. Thank you, everyone.